So I'd like to introduce Demi Gray. She is an executive HR leader with more than 18 years of experience and success in leading large and small HR organizations while managing million-dollar HR budgets in a variety of domestic and international operations. She is known and appreciated for her humility, grit, creative problem solving approach to life, and award winning performances in identifying and meeting the needs of people at all levels. I think we can all agree upon that we know that from Demi. Also, she is the author of The X Factor of Employee Engagement. She's going to tell you all about that. Why fostering employee motivation should be every company's goal. So, welcome, Demi. Thank you so much for being here to teach us on the subject.
Awesome. So, while I share my screen, all right. So, we're going to start this again. So, sorry about that. Awesome. So, thank you so much, Jay and Tina. I appreciate it. So, we'll be a little bit participative in this regard. So, by a show of virtual hands, how many of you have ever heard of the term motivation? Come on. Awesome. Cool. And so just for sake, I just want to make sure that the only people who are exempt from participating in this activity is anyone who's on the road or driving. So we'll try this one more time because I know everyone has heard of this term. So by a show of virtual hands, how many of you have heard of the term inspired? There we go. Awesome. Cool. So that's better. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone is here. For my coffee drinkers and tea drinkers, that you're completely caffeine fueled, I understand. And then also for my water drinkers, that you're completely awake. So feel free to use the LOL emoji, heart, thumbs up, and any of the other emoji reactions just to show a little bit of love or simply just to participate. All right. Awesome. So the Universal Motivator. Anyone want to share by dropping a comment in the chat what comes to mind when you think of the term the Universal Motivator? And so as some of these things are coming through the chat, I am going to read a few of them as they come through. So let's see here. What do we have? Influencer. Yes, I love that. Brain self. Yes. Tammy says brain self. Someone who inspires everyone they come in contact with. Awesome. Good. So I'm glad. So I'm just going to read a couple of more as they come through. If they continue, positive for Wayne Matthews. Awesome. And amping up the world. That is also amazing. So these are all on point, every one of these. So, as we continue to drop comments into the chat, I want to share a few key principles that may be familiar with some of you, and then also just show as something new for some. And that's the concept of reading people, reading the situation, reading the environment, and then just the practice to read. So usually we're all motivated by some different variable, in regards to how we're engaging with others, how we actually engage with people. But when we're reading, it's not from the context of the literary text or human development and visual reading, but really from the act of knowing our creative actions and our sixth sense, right? Which is perception. So there's an acronym I created to help us remember the concept to read. Whereas R stands for relatedness. So, or the state of being connected, right? And then E represents emotional intelligence. And most of us are familiar with this, or social awareness, with the ability to understand, use, manage our own emotions positively to relieve stress, communicate effectively, overcome challenges, and then also just to diffuse conflict. And then A represents altruism, which is the belief or practice of selfless concern for the well being of others, right? And then D is decide and take action. And by being deliberate and intentional, we talk about this a lot in Master Networks, and being unselfish and applying the approach to read, we engage others. It's engaging, it's influential, and it invokes inspiration. So when people are most impactful, it is when they are unselfish in their exchange with others. And I realize though that we're all a group of go-getters, hustlers, trendsetters, entrepreneurs, small and mid-sized business owners and leaders. So we're always prospecting in some capacity. And ultimately, when that happens, we are thinking about, what's in it, for me, from that perspective. How can I get Sally from her point A to my point B? How can I get Tim from his point A to Jay's point C? How can I get Jay, from his point A, to Tina's point Z? So, with that, ultimately, we're thinking about what's in it for me. And I'm totally guilty of this when I'm in business development mode. And most of us are. We're always in biz dev, but we can't stay there. We have to know when to transition, when to move, taking into consideration people, the environment, and circumstances. Okay. And let's see here. And so when that happens, we are considered a universal motivator. And for that, it's interesting because most of us are familiar with the concept of WIFM, right? And that's what's in it for us, what's in it for me, right? It's self-centered, it's not, for the other. But I wanted to see if anyone was paying attention because we're transitioning from whip them to whip it, right? So what is whip it, right? It's what's in it for them. And yes, I misspelled, or not misspelled, but actually spelled for PHOR, just to make sure that everyone is paying attention. But I wanted to make this work, so I had to make it work. So I put whip it. So now we're going to be able to whip it. So but by a show of virtual hands, if you get it, raise your hand, or simply just drop a question mark in the chat if you're completely confused by this concept. It's completely okay. I get it. But simply stated, it's not all about you, or it's not all about me. While we have a self-centered habits when we're approaching, most of life and business decisions, when we are selfless, we connect with others. You expand your sense of self, you become more perceptive, and it creates better communities. And we can all benefit from better and improved communities, because that also fuels into just our social connect, our businesses, and everything else that has an impact on us as being a motivator or being inspirational. And however, when we have to know also, when to play these cards, because there's really no one size shoe fits all approach when it comes to applying this type of method or applying this approach. But just know, when we are intentionally unselfish, we can have more of an impact on individuals from that perspective. And so, as you know, people are different. We all bring different and diverse experiences to a room and to a discussion. And so you never really know what you will do, what you'll say, what your exchanges may be with others, how it will influence someone's motives or their intent, their actions. And even in the most casual sense and in the most casual terms, people are always thinking, they're always processing in the conscious and in the unconscious. And so they're taking everything in around them. It's like, and even with children, right? We're taking it all in, but even as adults, we continue to just take everything in. And you never really know how you inspire. Tina was talking about her sister earlier to my sister when we started this chapter, this meeting. And even though she was casual and she was just, relating to the two of us, she was actually inspiring me to do something different when I end this speaking engagement today. And so it's always, you're always on. I know that people for the most part their life with Disney, you're on stage, off stage, but for the most part when you're engaging with others, you're always on. You never know how you're going to influence someone positively from that perspective. And so I'll wrap it up by saying, when you approach business, relationships, leadership, and engagement exchanges with the whippet concept, while you're reading people, you're reading the situation and the environment, people feel this experience. They feel what's going on in the room, they conceptualize it, and they process it in whatever regulating way that makes the most sense for them. But when that happens, those relationships are more fruitful, they're more impactful, inspiring, and you begin to move along the path of being labeled as or recognized as being a universal motivator. You're labeled as being great, engaging, respected, admired, and one who attracts others. And I know that we all, would love to be able to benefit from any one of those adjectives or being considered or recognized for any one of those, great experiences. And, with that, like, Randy G. Fine states, along the line of this concept and this topic, you want to be the beacon of light in someone's darkness. And if hopefully that resonates with most of you, because a lot of times, even in the networking community, when we're networking, we still are trying to, whether it's whiff them or whip it, we're still trying to help someone. And that's what I appreciate about this particular community with Master Networks. It's all relational. It's not transactional. People are trying to help others. We're trying to create synergies. We're trying to help and support businesses and, do what we can to be a conduit or to be a supporter or to be a facilitator. But if that doesn't resonate with you, like Miss Mandy Hill is known for her statement, and that is, there is nothing more beautiful than someone who goes out of their way to make life beautiful for others. So I love these two quotes. I think that it resonates extremely well with the topic of being inspirational, being motivating, being one to be a connector, being intentional, and all of those positive adjectives that follow suit. And I just threw one in there. People know when you're genuine and intentional, about being selfless, do be selfless in your intent. And it's simply stated as that. So be selfless. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for your time, your attendance, and your attention and ears. I really appreciate it. And then also a really, really, really big shout out to Tina Campbell and Jay Ortiz for your support and facilitating these amazing chapter meetings every single day and week by way of our amazing chapter leaders as well. So as you guys work diligently to positively impact the region, I'm really grateful to be a part of this community. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My info is in the chat, and I will turn this back over to you, Jay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Demi. That was
Very
that
good,
was
very
great.
good.